This is Charles Kao with TravelMole TV in Hainan, China at the World Travel and Tourism Council Summit with Niall Gibbons, who's the Chief Executive of Tourism Ireland. Thank you very much for taking the time out for talking to me.
Delighted to see you today. Nice to be here in Sanya, a nice sunny day. And,
very sunny.
A busy program here at WTTC, and looking forward to additional activities that we've got going on in Beijing and Shanghai in the next number of days too.
You have this little book you're showing chock full of meetings with your delegation in Beijing, Shanghai. My goodness.
Well, this is my 58-page briefing program for the week that we're here. We've come over with our Minister Leo Varadkar, who's the Minister for Tourism, Transport and Sport. We also have representatives from Dublin Airports Authority as well. We've got the Vice Chairman of the Irish Hotels Federation, the Irish Ambassador is with us too, and along with staff from the Embassy in Beijing. And China is becoming a very important market. We all know the outbound Chinese market is expanding rapidly, and travel to Europe is increasing, and we feel that in Ireland we have the capacity to do an awful lot better. Our numbers are quite small at the moment. About 17,000 Chinese visitors came last year, and we're looking to grow that to about 50,000 by 2017. So it's going to require a number of things. Air connectivity is very important. Obviously we don't have a direct air route at the moment between Ireland and China, and we're working on that along with the Dublin Airports Authority. The visa regime is improving as we speak. Our Department of Justice in Ireland is working very closely also with the Home Office in the UK to try and bring about a common travel area visa, and that's progressing very well. Our marketing activities here in China, we've appointed a new company called TLM Marketing. We're doing a very good job. They're represented in 4 provinces here in China, and I think what we're really looking to do now is to ramp up that marketing activity. And what we're doing in Beijing and Shanghai over the next couple of days is communicating with the trade and the media about all the things that there are to see and do in Ireland, and we'll be announcing another big sales mission out here to China probably around September.
And as you were explaining to me earlier, you did a market study in the Chinese perception of and knowledge of Ireland is very positive.
Yeah, very interesting. We will announce the results of that formally next week, but I mean, by and large, what that is saying is that there is a greater level of awareness of Ireland in China than we previously thought. There are some things that won't surprise you. River dance, is exceptionally popular and is well known around China. But we're finding as well that things, about the Celtic traditions and myths around Ireland are things that Chinese had a more awareness of. So I think awareness isn't going to be the biggest barrier that we thought that it might be initially. It does tell us that there are certain things that we need to do more of in Ireland. For example, translation for Chinese TV channels. Just catering to Chinese tastes in terms of food. But that's okay. It's good to get that feedback. I think our industry are very aware that there are more things that we need to do. And I'm delighted that we've got the Vice President of the Irish Hotels Federation here with us, because they can hear that feedback directly and take it back to their members.
Oh, that would be interesting to go to Dublin or around Ireland and have Chinese food. Chinese breakfast.
There are so many Chinese restaurants already in Ireland, but I think that's more international phenomenon. I think what we need to do is it is literally catering for the specialist type taste that's there. But we had 20 companies out here last year from Ireland to China who did a 3-city tour, and they had 7,500 engagements with 450 tour operators. So a lot of speed dating, so to speak, about making people aware of the destination, and that included hoteliers, it included attractions, it included some airlines and the visa offices from both the UK and Ireland. So I think we're really ramping up the marketing effort here in China. I think reaching our target of 50,000 by 2017 will be a stretch for a small country, but I think we've got a lot of goodwill behind us and a lot of people working very hard.
And do you think a lot of that traffic will come as a secondary stop or visit for the people who go to, say, France, which that type of thing, or?
Yeah, I think what we'll probably find is that it will be a secondary stop. I mean, what you're most likely to find is the UK and Ireland being sold more and more as a destination. And we're finding now that since the visa waiver scheme was introduced by the Irish government in 2011, this is a scheme whereby you arrive into the UK on a valid UK visa, you can travel to Ireland with no additional visa requirement. And it means now that a lot more tour operators are programming the UK and Ireland that wouldn't have programmed Ireland before. So I don't see Ireland evolving as a standalone destination in the Chinese market. It's been part of the European proposition, but primarily as well a UK and Ireland proposition.
Right. What is happening in Ireland, and that's new initiatives or new development? I mean, I haven't been back there for a few years, but for sure on TV I see the film industry is alive and very well.
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder if that draws some visitors just to visit those where it was filmed and such.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of activity around the whole creative arts sector, including film and TV and theatre. That's something we're very proud of, and I think film is a big influencer of destination choice. Some Irish films have been doing very well across the globe, and that's really, really good to hear. The big product this year, from a tourism perspective, is what's called the Wild Atlantic Way, and the Wild Atlantic Way is one of the longest coastal driving routes in the world. It's 2,500 kilometres, 1,500 miles, goes all the way from the very south in County Cork all the way up to the north in Donegal, and it's one of the most fabulous coastal experiences with lots of interpretation and well signposted as well all along the way. From there you can join the Causeway Coastal Route, which will bring you all the way around to Titanic and Belfast. So essentially you have a coastal driving route almost all the way around Ireland. I think that's going to prove very popular with visitors because, as you know, coming to Ireland, most people come by air, 85% come by air, so fly drive packages I think are going to be very popular this year, but also for the 15% who come by sea, particularly from markets like Britain and France, to bring their car to Ireland is going to be an extra special experience. I think that's going to be really magical.
Well, how much time should one devote to that itinerary you just mentioned?
Well,
to really see it well.
To do it all, if you want to see it well, you need to be giving it 2 or 3 weeks. But if people do want to come on a shorter break, I mean, you can fly into the west of Ireland, into Shannon Airport for a lot of destinations now. And what you'll find is that, you don't have to do it all in one go. I mean, I think it's nice if you just want to do part of Galway, or if you want to go to Donegal, or you want to go to Kerry. There are lots of options just to do pieces of it along the way. And you can break off the Wild Atlantic Way too, because there's lots of really good accommodation along that route as well. So if you are looking for a 5-star castle type experience, that's there on the route of the Wild Atlantic Way. Whereas if you want something a little bit more simple like a B&B, plenty of accommodation like that along the way too.
Development-wise in the hospitality sector, is that moving forward strongly, or is in a kind of a resting spot at the moment?
No, that's going quite well. I mean, the government have put additional money into capital initiatives, into festivals and events. It's still a very big part of the whole tourism program. We have a very strong marketing program overseas as well, and it's good to see a lot of people investing in hospitality again with the global financial crisis beginning to move on. People are certainly investing in the hospitality sector. For example, one hotel group went out and just raised 260 million euros on the international markets in a public offering, which they're going to invest back into the hotel product. A lot of international investors now showing interest in Ireland as well. So I think tourism is very much alive and well. We saw revenue in the industry grow by 12% last year. It's the largest one-year jump we've ever seen. Big spend on the back of our campaign on what was known as the Gathering. And we saw overall numbers rise by about 7%, but the spend was quite significant. And what's driving that is the fact that when you look at markets like North America, for example, we had record numbers from the United States, record numbers from Canada. Long-haul markets like Australia, New Zealand, all record numbers as well. Germany, France, very, very strong. So we're seeing a good revival. Our brand tracking tells us that the Ireland brand is still very strong from a tourism perspective. If anything, Ireland has become cool again, I think. A lot of vibrancy. Dublin hotels recording their strongest occupancy ever at over 82%. So a lot to shout about, a lot to be proud about. Ireland's very much back on the map. The government introduced a couple of important initiatives in the last budget. They reduced the value-added tax, or the sales tax, in other words, from 13.5% to 9%, and have maintained it at that. That's good news. But they've abolished the travel tax as well, the air passenger duty, which used to be €10 per passenger. It's now nil from the 1st of April. And a lot of airlines have introduced new routes on the back of that. So it's going to be easier to get to Ireland as well this year, which is good news.
When the government does that, reducing taxes, am I correct to presume that tour operators would be the first ones to pick up on the bargain and package it for their markets?
Yeah, and then the tax was reduced last year, and I mean the tour operators have moved very quickly, and they're certainly talking to the tour operators. Ireland is selling very well again in 2014 as well, and I mean they're contracting obviously for 2015, and they're very positive about it too. But even independent travel as well, very strong, and with the additional routes that are coming in, for example, from the United States, there's an additional 10% of seats this summer on top of the 25% increase we had last year. So it's an amazing 35,000 seats every week coming from the United States to Ireland. On the Canadian side, we've got 2 new routes coming from Toronto and 1 from Newfoundland. So there's a 68% increase in the number of seats available from Canada into Ireland this summer. Germany's up 14%, France will be up 12%, and Etihad and Emirates are going double daily from the Middle East from this summer. So the number of seats in the Middle East goes from about 5,000 to 10,000 per week. So those are significant numbers, and that's going to drive additional traffic from long-haul markets too.
Lastly, sports tourism-wise, what's going on in that front? And as far as sports as a theme of attracting visitors?
Yeah, well, last year we had very successful few events. One was the Heineken Cup, which in rugby is one of the premier events. 2 French teams got into the final, so we were delighted to welcome an awful lot of French visitors in May of 2013. Moving forward, I think one of the most ambitious projects that Ireland is reviewing at the moment is whether we put in a bid for the Rugby World Cup in 2023. And Tourism Ireland are working along with a group appointed by our Minister for Transport, Tourism and Sport, Leo Varadkar, to evaluate the feasibility of a bid going in. That decision will be made this summer, and if that's decided, I think that's going to be one of the most exciting projects that will happen between now and the next decade.
Well, sounds like life is good and business is good. That's wonderful. Niall Gibbons, Chief Executive of Tourism Ireland, thank you very much.
Nice to see you, and thank you for coming and interviewing me here in Sanya.
Oh, thank you.